Hey everyone, welcome back to Discography Reviews. This is the 8th episode, I'm pretty sure, which is crazy to me because I'm committed to this still. But for today's episode, I finally got to do a band I've been waiting to do since the very inception of this series. One of my favorite bands of all time, Ice Nine Kills. Let's get to it. In 2000, Spencer Charnas, Jeremy Schwartz, and Patrick Morse created the band Ice Nine, a ska band, a pop punk and ska band, mainly doing covers of Blink-182. And then they later recruited Grant Newstead in 2003, and Patrick Morse was swapped out with Hobby Bauschenstein in 2004, and then they changed their name to Ice Nine Kills just before releasing their debut independent album Last Chance to Make Amends in 2006. And then later in 2009, they did release a demo they recorded entitled The Pop Punk and Ska Years, which was from 2002, surprisingly. But then, in 2007, they released their debut EP through Red Blue Records, The Burning. This is fine. I mean, it's not good. The production is messy at best. Sometimes the vocals are cutting through the mix, and other times they're just muddled. But a lot of times it's just all kind of pushed together. It feels more like a demo record. And there's nothing wrong with demo records when they're demo records and not studio releases. This is only a 7-track EP, and that's fine. And truthfully, the entire first half I don't enjoy. I don't know. It just seems amateurish. No offense, I get it. It was 2007. They were still kids, but it feels less like a cohesive and great EP that a great piece of music that Ice Nine Kills would come on to create. Rather like a stepping stone. And that's fine. I get it. Tracks like Build Your Own Disaster go entirely way too hard, more hard than they ever get any right to go. It's one of the best tracks on the album. And What I Should Have Learned in Study Hall is a beautiful acoustic ballad about unrequited love. Other than those two tracks, there's really nothing else to return to here. No offense to the record, but it's just kind of okay. But they then set out on several national tours to support this EP, with opening slots with I See Stars and Eyes Set to Kill. And then they were even invited to open for well-known acts such as I Lay Dying, A Day to Remember, Thursday, and Paramore on a one-off performance on the Taste of Chaos 2009 tour. They also released an acoustic album with 2 tracks on it. And then in mid-2009, Jeremy Schwartz decided to leave the band after struggling with his life on the road, leaving Charnas as the only original member there. He then recruited some other members from the post-hardcore band Remember Tomorrow, which is recently disbanded, and stopped playing rhythm guitar, which caused their music to shift into a more metalcore direction. However, I don't think that's actually what happened, because The Burning is proof that they were still hitting metalcore. Now, maybe not as hard as they will, but they were still doing it. It was still happening. But after an appearance in Warped Tour 2009, the band began writing and recording for their next record. So, in 2010, Ice Nine Kills released their second full-length album and their first studio album, Safe as Just a Shadow. And this thing is leaps and bounds from The Burning. Not the best they'll ever get, but pretty great regardless. Tracks like Proximity Mines in the Complex, Buildings Burn, People Die, Acceptance in the Waves, Red Sky Warning, The People Under the Stairs, Evidence on Fire are pummeling you with guitar riffs that don't quit. Spencer Charnas' vocals are more developed than they were on The Burning, and the production is so much better. And I only say that because the greatest story ever told is on this record, just like it was on The Burning. The Burning's best written track was The Greatest Story Ever Told. However, production-wise, it pales in comparison to the version on Safe is Just a Shadow. Like, I love both versions, but if I am picking, Safe is Just Shadow wins 10 times over 10. It's an incredible song, and there's zero shot like anything else is winning. Now, there are a couple of bad tracks here, namely Chris Brown's latest hit. I get it, it was edgy, but why did you name this track this? It's not worth it. Newton's Third Law of Knives to the Back is okay. It reeks of metalcore, like wanting to be emo, and that's fine, I guess, but I don't know, it just rings boring. There are still improvements to be made. Some of these choruses aren't as catchy as they could be, namely on Red Sky Warning and Proximity Mines in the Complex. 2 tracks I do genuinely love, but there's just something lacking in this record. And I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but it's there, and it's apparent that it's gone. It's just not as good as I think it could be. But that's okay, because this album received heavy praise from the metal magazine Revolver. And they even were invited to attend the Revolver Golden Gods Awards, which was nice. They got a 2-week appearance in Warped Tour 2010 and a supporting slot with Michigan-based new metal band Taproot, performing their first headlining tour in the summer of 2011, as well as a performance in Darien Lake of the Warped Tour 2011. They got to film a music video based on Inglourious Bastards for The People Under the Stairs, which is another great track on this record that I didn't mention. They released tons of videos, and they even started writing their next album. Then, in 2014, after the release of 5 singles, we got The Predator Becomes the Prey, released in January. The album marks the band's first entrance into the Billboard Top 200, landing them a number 153 spot, which is not great, but it's better than what they had been doing. This is an 11-track album, which is the longest they've done yet, and quite frankly, it's the best they've done yet. Every complaint I have about about Safe is Just Shadow is immediately rectified on this record with almost every song. The lyrics don't seem as amateurish, and when they do, it feels like it's part of their charm rather than a defect of the record. The guitar lines are catchy as hell, and the choruses stick in your head like molasses. The best examples I can think of is The Fastest Way to a Girl's Heart is Through a Ribcage, one of the singles, Let's Bury the Hatchet, In Your Head, Connect the Cuts, and The Power in Belief. All of these songs just hammering their refrains into you as hard as possible. And Ice Nine Kills are down everything they had up to this point, and it works. Spencer Charnas's vocals are some of the best they've ever been, and best they'll ever be, period. What I Never Learned in Study Hall, the feature, Tyler Carter, is incredible. I love the drums on this thing. They work so well. The bass on this thing is incredible, and the rhythm guitar especially. Oh, it's just an all-around incredible album. And the 2 tracks I would skip, The Product of Hate and So Long Stephen Long, I don't actually dislike. There's just a couple of wrong things about them that don't make me feel as good as they should, but they're not bad tracks inherently. There's just some things. And that's not necessarily a defect of the record, that's just a personal taste problem, and the fact that I don't have any, as I've been told. But that's okay, because this record was big in all of the rock circles. Ice Nine Kills played the Monster Energy stage for the entirety of Warped Tour 2014. Ice Nine Kills released a music video for Let's Bury the Hatchet in Your Head and for The Fast Way to a Girl's Heart, and then they started releasing some new singles. The most notable of them is actually a cover entitled Animals by originally from Maroon 5 and immediately improved upon for Fearless Records' Punk Goes Pop. But after that, in 2015, they finally signed to Fearless Records, who released their next album, Every Trick in the Book. Now, this album is groundbreaking for the band. It marked the first time they were getting mainstream attention for their albums, and for one main reason. All of the songs on this thing are based on books. The singles include Me, Myself, and Hyde, which is based off The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Bloodbath and Beyond, which is based on Dracula. Communion and the Curse, based on The Exorcist. Hell in the Hallways, based on Carrie. And The Nature of the Beast, based on Animal Farm. And this is only a 10-track album, so it was weird to me that they released 5 singles, but it paid off because they got number 122 on the Billboard Top 200 and number 1 on the US Heatseekers album, which was pretty neat. And what I love about this album is how versatile it is. It's a little weird at some points, especially when on Alice from Go Ask Alice with the Beatrice Sparks book, where the metalcore riffs are just blasting. And like the plot sickens, which is Alive, the story of the Andy survivors. It's a little odd, but it works. The way they frame these, it feels more like an adding on to the story rather than just a retread. I love the choruses on this thing, namely The Nature of the Beast, Communion of the Curse, Testimony, kills me every time, Hell in the Hallways, even the track I really despise, Me, Myself, and Hyde. I love the chorus of that thing. It's just some of the stuff falls a little flat for me. The guitars on this album go hard as hell. The percussive elements on this thing are amazing, and Spencer Charnas's vocals are incredible. Just listen to The Nature of the Beast and you'll hear that. The only track I really, really, really hate is The People in the Attic, mainly because it's based on The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, and it feels less like an adding, more like a cash out, and it just rubs me the wrong way. But that is immediately rectified by the next track, Testimony, my favorite Ice Nine Kills track, period. It's based on Tess of the Ubervilles, god damn it, and it is incredible. It's a piano ballad that turns into this, like, alternative rock type thing, and it's... I can't even explain it, just listen to it. It's a story of sexual assault, and it portrays that amazingly. There are some cliche moments on this record, mainly with Bloodbath and Beyond and Star-Crossed Enemies, which is based on Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. But other than that, most all of these songs go hard as hell, and I don't genuinely hate any of them for their musicality either. It's just a couple of things that rub me the wrong way about some of them. This record is incredible, and because they signed with Fearless Records, they got to go on tour with Wage War and the White Noise. They got to do a re-record version of their 2010 record, Safe as Just Shadow, and they got tons of music videos and got featured on Punk Goes Pop with I Don't Want to Live Forever by Zayn, originally, cover of which. They also got to tour with Motionless in White and Chelsea Grin while working for their upcoming studio album. Then, in 2018, the drummer Connor Sullivan announced that he was leaving the band to pursue a different musical project, former affiliates. But then, former affiliates drummer Patrick Galante served as their touring member and then joined the band in order to release their 2018 critically acclaimed record. In 2018, the band released their 5th studio album, The Silver Scream, which is different from anything else they've ever done because it was based on horror movies. A market where metalcore and horror really combined. They released 8 goddamn singles for this record, and even built their own narrative with their music videos. Spencer Charnas going to a shrink, and his shrink ending up figuring out that he's a fucking murderer. It's really good. But let's talk about the music. It's all incredible. I mean, that's not true. Tracks like Freak Flag, which is based on The Devil's Rejects, and The World in My Hands, which is based on Edward Scissorhands, feel bare and bland and overdone. Mainly because I'm pretty sure I heard them in the Shrek musical soundtrack. but also tracks, but they're immediately redeemed by tracks like The American Nightmare, based on A Nightmare on Elm Street, Thank God It's Friday, based on Friday the 13th, Stabbing in the Dark, based on Halloween, The Jig Is Up, based on Saw, A Grave Mistake, based on The Crow, Rocking the Boat, based on Jaws, Enjoy Your Sleigh, based on The Shining, which features Sam Kubrick, who is Stanley Kubrick's nephew, is incredible to me. Merry Xmas, based on Silent Night, Deadly Night, Love Bites, based on American Werewolf in London, and It Is the End, based on It. God damn, these tracks all go hard as hell. Like, literally. Even Love Bites, which is a piano ballad for the most part, it goes incredibly well over. Spencer Charnas's vocals are refined, especially his screams. My God, listen to Thank God It's Friday for those. Even the slower songs, more poppy songs, work really well for me. It's like Savages, based on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, A Grave Mistake, and Love Bites. And It Is the End to an extent. The features on this are perfectly used. Randy Straumeyer on The Jig Is Up, Sam Kubrick, as previously mentioned, on Enjoy Your Sleigh, even Chelsea Talmadge on Love Bites, Peter J.R. Walski and Less Than Jake on It Is the End, which is the weirdest ska metalcore cross, but it works perfectly. And most notably, Jeremy Schwartz on Rocking the Boat. The band finally getting back together in a sense to make one hell of a track. The guitars go insanely well over here. The drums go hard as fuck, and even the bass just reinforces all of this. It's an incredible album. Patrick Galante fits right in on drums here. Dan Sugarman on lead guitar goes really well over. Justin DeBleek on most of the guitars go really well over. Ricky Armello on the rhythm guitar go really well over. It's just an incredible album, and everyone thought so. This was their first album that really, really blew up. It was just incredible. I mean, the band finally got the recognition they deserved and the critical praise they deserved. And then their former bassist died, Shane Bissnet, at age 31. Spencer Charnas revealed the news, sharing a video and a story about his former bandmate who played bass on the Safe Is Just Shadow record. Lead guitarist Justin DeBleek released a tribute song named Sunrise for him. It was a really sad instance, but the band kept going anyways and released their deluxe record version of The Silver Scream, named The Silver Scream The Final Cut, which was incredibly well done, mostly just some acoustic things, but a cover of Thriller and and Your Number's Up, based on the Scream movies. And then the lockdown hit. When they were in their prime, lockdown hit. But that didn't stop them. They released a parody version of Stacy's Mom, originally by Fountains of Wayne, entitled Jason's Mom, based on the Friday the 13th movies. Then they released their live album, I Heard They Kill Live. Incredible name, incredible album art, based on NoFX's album name. And then they released a cover of Can't Help Falling in Love, which was interesting because it led to the new album, The Silver Scream 2, Welcome to Horrorwood. This is everything I love about The Silver Scream. This is that put onto 100. The guitar is amazing. I love Dan Sugarman's playing. I think he's incredible. There's kind of a storyline with the album, kind of a concept. The music videos are really well done. It's Spencer Charnas being charged with the crime of his ex-fiance's death, which is really interesting to me. And there are so many different types of tracks here. So I'm going to break them up into 3 categories: pop, metalcore, loud. Starting with pop, you have tracks like The Shower Scene, Rainy Day, and Fly, which an Ex Mortis to an extent, which all go incredibly hard. Amazing tracks. I really do enjoy them, based on The Evil Dead, in order, based on Psycho, Resident Evil, The Fly, and Evil Dead, respectively. All of them really work. They're all catchy as hell. Then you get metalcore, which I would consider Farewell to Flesh, Worst Vacation, The Box, Hip to Be Scared, and A Rash Decision, as well as Welcome to Horrorwood into those, all based on the Candyman, Hostel, Hellraiser, American Psycho, Child's Play, and Cabin Fever, respectively. All of these go really well, except for Hostel, which I don't love only because of the voice. But on that same note, Assault and Batteries has a similar thing, and that track goes insanely well over with me for some reason. It's very much, if you're into it, you're going to love it, and if you're not, it's going to rub you the wrong way entirely. Thank God I'm into it. And then there's Loud, which I would consider mainly Take Your Pick, which features Corpse Grinder of Cannibal Corpse and is based on My Bloody Valentine. But also, I would call Funeral Arrangements into this, even though it can get a little poppier at times. It goes insanely hard on that breakdown. It's based on Pet Sematary, and it's really well done. Overall, this is an improvement in every way to the Silver Scream. The second is just a cut above the rest. The features are all really well utilized. Buddy Nielsen, Brandon Saller, and Ryan Kirby, Corpse Grinder, and Jacoby Shaddix of Papa Roach are all really well mulled over. And the songwriting is really good too. It doesn't feel as cheesy as it did on the Silver Scream with some songs. That's entirely gone. It's just really well done. And it got its proper raise by getting number 45 on Loudwire's Best Rock and Metal Albums of 2021. As of now, there hasn't been a ton of new stuff. They released a single for PUBG called Hunting Season, which was fine. It wasn't anything special. It was just okay. And they released an acoustic rendition of their track The Shower Scene, which was fine. It didn't really add anything, but it didn't take away anything either. But overall, that's it. We haven't got any really new developments. We got a music video for Welcome to Horrorwood, I guess. That was pretty alright. But nothing new in the world of Ice Nine Kills. If you want to start with Ice Nine Kills, start with the Silver Scream. And then start with their newest album and work your way down. I don't usually say that, but that's what I genuinely believe you should do. Thank you for watching. I hope you're having an amazing day, week, month, whatever. Next one will be Weezer.